previous master plan, the build-out in previous hearings, the build-out was around 2005 of the community. And you can see that pretty much, all the subdivisions, the last subdivisions, pretty much. So the capital plan was, at some point, we were behind the whole wave of growth, what was happening in this community. So we had to accelerate it to be in a position, which we are now, to manage the build-out of the community. It's not about having more water, unless the folks at the state level, which they're not going to do, allow the town to draw more water out of the Ipswich River Basin. We've got to manage the water what we have. So we have to have very good, efficient systems, an alternate means of supply, and stay at our cap. If it's 1.1, 1.2 million gallons a day, that's where we're missing that opportunity, because some of our wells, as Mark had mentioned, are old, and the best way to optimize the situation is with bedrock wells. So it's really about best managing our allowable, what's allowed. Now, that means that there may have to be other restrictions at some point in time.
But this is...
Right now, we're on that permanent every other day.
Right. But we're planning on, in 2005, you're assuming the town will basically be built out to the max. Okay.
Sandra, did you?
No.
Okay, do we have any? Mr. Messeri?
Just a brief question. In light of the article below, and the fact that I think it took us act of the state legislature to allow us to take water out of the Merrimack River Basin, is that in jeopardy at all, or do we have guarantees that that's forever or whatever?
The answer is, if we did take an act of legislature that was the first of its kind in the state to have an inter-basin agreement from the Merrimack to the Ipswich, it's a 20-year agreement. It's renewable, but it is a 20-year contract.
So at the end of 20 years, with the demand from the Merrimack River Basin, it's possible that we could be shut off?
Not likely.
Not likely.
We would obviously want to be in a position to negotiate more purchase of water based on our inability to get beyond 1.1, 1.2. If the town needs, obviously, 2.5 times more than that during the summer. But there are other opponents, if you will, that are concerned about the amount of water that's discharged at the ocean in any of these rivers, so they're going to stand on the other side and say, if anything, we should be taking less from them. But if the best situation is that we were in a position to buy more water, does their distribution system allow that to happen? And does there have to be a reinvestment from North Reading or Andover into the distribution system before that can even happen? So we're about halfway. 80, Mark, when was that first year? 91,
92, so we're just halfway.
Just halfway.
Thank you. You just answered my question. I was curious as to how far we were into that contract.
On the rate, if it's okay, Joe, Mark, we had a meeting with the Finance Committee prior to this hearing to brainstorm the rate situation. We really can't, it's such a weather-driven situation, and at this time of the year, we can tell you that we're comfortable, that we're on the tight side of keeping the rate as it is, on the tight side. So that may mean that the rate may have to be tweaked. We were talking about a slight increase on the higher rate only, if that was the situation, but that would be the worst case situation. We're not in a position really to come to you tonight and give you a hard number.
Okay.
We have to wait for the spring and the impact of whether we're in a wet spring or dry spring, quite frankly.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions or comments from anybody in the audience? Mr. Jones.
Just one additional comment, Mr. Chairman, to what Mr. Hanlon said. That other than the direct cost of water, some of our capital program and funding vis-a-vis the Stickney fund. I think if you look in the back of Mark's presentation, you'll see some tables. We're drawing down that Stickney fund for the next 4 or 5 years, it's dancing under 400,000. So we have not had to lean as heavily on our water rate for capital bonding interest because the sticky fund existed. We've been drawing down, doing all the things we needed to do. If anybody remembers the water 10 years ago versus today, both in quality and quantity, we're far ahead of some other towns. So our concern was that 2 things. One, as you add more Andover water into the mix with North Reading water, the cost per 1,000 goes up. And then secondly, with the capital concern, that we're meeting our obligations. As we're using the sticky fund, we're not building a reserve to replace that sticky fund. And that was basically the reason FinCom met briefly with the water people to say, we know we're tight, we're not in trouble yet, but can we stay ahead of the curve and look at it? And that was the reason for our meeting with them.
We don't create, excuse me, Brad, we don't create a surplus, we should.
I understand what you're saying.
We had our rate study analysis, and obviously, given the sticking well reserve fund, you still should be building up a surplus per year, which we have never really done.
Oh, we did not do that. Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend the water system capital plan.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 0. Thank you. Yes.
I'd just like to make some follow-up comments. You don't have in your package, I did give them to Tom to make available to you, but I would just like to take this opportunity to tell you that we received 2 awards for the water department. One is a fluoride award, and it's a assessment of the whole fluoride operations in terms of water quality in our system. It's rated on a 0 to 200 point maximum, 200 points being the best. And our water department achieved the maximum score at 200 points.
Congratulations.
That is a very, very outstanding
Very good
achievement for the water department, Mark and his staff. The second thing for Mark specifically, he was cited the Meritorious Operator Service Award by the New England Water Works Association, which is an affiliate of the American Water Works Association. Only 3 candidates at the most could be recognized in any given year in all of New England states. And Mark was one of those recipients, so again, real well done to him.
Very good. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And Bob's going to catch up.
Okay. All set then?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have on our agenda review wastewater study. Mr. Hamlin.
Yes, with us tonight are our consultants, Wesley Sampson, Ken Nichols, Bob Goober, and Charlene Johnson. They're the team that has pretty much gotten us this far through the process with DEP to put ourselves in a situation, obviously, that our goal, as we get into the specifics tonight, Ken is going to bring you up to speed on where we've been, where we are, where we've got to go. One of the questions I know you're going to have, either somewhere in the beginning or at the end of this, where are we then with the Berry property? And our goal, again, it's an opportunity, it's a window opportunity, but again, we want to be in a position to have the permitting approved. The permitting approved and our priority service areas approved by DEP, so that at the same time that the Berry does start to actually, provide infrastructure and be reused in some capacity, and then align with them in terms of infrastructure opportunities, i.e. a treatment facility and piping, obviously, for collection for them. Obviously, they would have to have reserve space if they're going to pay for all of it or most of it. in a turnkey situation, and then provide at least at some priority areas, if you will, again, i.e. Monk's Pond, that there would be a certain amount of capacity reserved for the town at that time. So that's the general view of things. I can tell you that the permitting process is awesome. It's long. It's a lot of I dotting and T crossing, and there's a lot of agencies. When I say DEP, there's a lot of agencies that we have to deal with through this exercise. But so far, for our own timelines, we're happy with them. Anything can get bogged down, but right now we're going as fast as we can. Ken?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Dave said, Kent Nichols, and I am a project manager with Weston Sampson. With me for advice and assistance are Bob Goober and Charlene Johnston. I believe you have in your packet a piece of information, basically a progress report, phase 2 work that we've been doing. Comprehensive wastewater management plan, phase 2 progress report. And I think Mark got a few of these to the audience as well, so I'll pick right up here. What we're doing right now is phase 2 of the comprehensive wastewater management plan for the town. Basically, what was set up a year or so ago, a little more than a year ago, was a 5-phased approach to comprehensive planning for wastewater. And identifying these phases in the proper order to go through, Dave worked very closely with us as a consultant to make sure that we did it in a way that made the most sense for the town. Phase 1 of the report was completed last year and basically dealt with an investigation for potential sites. What we need the sites for is we need the sites to get wastewater that we collect in the town disposed of to the groundwater. The reason this is key is because DEP has approached a basin like the Ipswich River Basin with the concept that any water that is in the basin now has to stay there. Again, for the same principle that you've been dealing with from your water system, the basin is so water poor that you cannot transport wastewater out. So I believe Dave will say that the past planning had involved discussions of MWRA connections. That's something DEP has said is not going to happen. You need to find a place to dispose of the wastewater. So the first phase was basically, let's try to find some locations in town that we could do this and get the wastewater treated and discharged to the groundwater. Those 2 sites were the Berry site, as Dave was just discussing, and the DPW site. Phase 1 report was successful in finding that it is likely that those sites will be used, and seeing that, the town is opted to now proceed with the phases 2 through 4 and finally 5. Phase 2, the work we're doing right now, is basically the initial needs evaluation. And this is what I'm going to speak most to you about tonight. The focus of a wastewater planning project, in this case a comprehensive wastewater management plan, is to generate a roadmap for the town, to find out what your wastewater problems are, get an understanding of what they are town-wide, and then find a solution to those wastewater problems. What are we going to do to solve those problems for the town for the foreseeable future? And basically where we are right now is we're in the phase 2 approach, which is identifying needs, identifying alternatives, and beginning what we call a public participation process, which is where we start to get the townspeople involved in doing this work and making sure that it is reflective of something that's important and correct, the right way to go for the town of North River. Things we've done to date on the phase 2 task, just some of the things we've completed. First thing representative on this map, also it's in your packet map, is we've divided the town into study areas. We've divided the town into 21 study areas with the idea that assessing need, we need to have some way of segmenting the work in the areas to try to focus our attention on those areas with greatest need. So, just for the sake of discussion, you see Area 1A in the upper left-hand corner is the Mont's Pond area. Areas such as 3, 2B, and 3B, and 1B are the Main Street corridor. There's a lot of other areas to the west. Each area that was delineated on here was basically put together for a particular reason. the majority of these basins